Yeah, I needed to speak to somebody about my kids that are missing.
You have multiple children missing?
My son and my boyfriend's daughter.
Okay.
They went for a walk, and they haven't come home, and it's now almost midnight, and I've gone driving around looking for them. I can't find them anywhere. They left here around 7.
Do they normally go for this long of walks?
No. That's why we're concerned.
I think my wife and I and our kids just found her.
Okay. Are you in contact with her?
No, I unfortunately, I think that she's...
Okay, hold on 1 second. Where exactly is she at?
She's face down in kind of a ditch area in a bunch of shrubs, and her underwear are taken off, and it looks like her clothes, or a lot of her clothes, are off as well.
Kiaya Campbell's lifeless body was discovered on June 8, 2017. It lay in a drainage ditch not far from her home in Thornton, Colorado. It was a sight that no one should ever have to witness. A local resident came across her at 5:30 p.m., and the horrifying reality set in. This was not an accident. Someone had brutally taken her life.
Approximately 5:30 this evening, we received a 911 call from a Thornton resident who stated that he had found a deceased child in the area of 128th and Jasmine Court. We're currently actively working a crime scene in that area, and this is an active investigation. We've not ruled anybody out or any details in this particular case.
The cause of death was clear: blunt force injuries to her head. The attack had been vicious, leaving deep wounds and multiple fractures. The extent of the injuries told a terrible story, revealing that Kiaya endured immense pain in her final moments. Whoever had done this had used brutal force with no mercy. The nightmare began on the evening of June 7, 2017. At around 7 p.m., Kiaya Campbell, just 10 years old, left her home with her 15-year-old friend Aidan Zellmer. They said they were heading to a nearby shopping center. But when hours passed and darkness fell, neither of them returned, and panic started to set in. As the night dragged on, Aiden's mother, Katie, became increasingly frantic, particularly upon realizing that neither of the kids had returned. By 11 p.m., Katie made a desperate call to the Thornton Police Department. Her voice shook with fear as she explained that both Aiden and Kiaya had gone out for a walk, but neither had come back. She had already driven around, checking the usual spots: the local King Soopers, Walgreens, the surrounding streets, but there was no sign of either child. She had a terrible feeling, and so did the police. 5 hours had already passed, and neither of them had a cell phone. The search needed to start immediately because every second mattered.
And did they say where they were going?
Well, they had mentioned running to the store and coming back.
Which store would they have gone to? The King Soopers?
Yeah, King Soopers.
Aiden's twin brother mentioned to Katie earlier that his siblings were out to steal something from the supermarket. At that moment, Katie realized something was amiss. Kiaya and Aiden had never been away for such an extended period. Officers arrived at the house and split up to cover as much ground as possible. As Katie gave the police an official statement, other units spread out across the neighborhood, checking alleyways, parks, and any spot where two kids might have gone. Then, a call came in from Jacob, Katie's boyfriend, and Kiaya's father. He had found Aiden walking alone. Relief and dread mixed together as Katie and the officers rushed to bring Aiden in, hoping he could provide some answers. The police took Aiden to the station. They needed to find out where Kiaya had gone, and they needed to know fast. Time was slipping away, and with every passing minute, the hope of finding Kiaya safe grew dimmer. Despite the discovery of Aiden, there were no indications of a struggle, no hint as to why he remained alone, and no explanation for Kiaya's disappearance. His answers came slowly and were filled with gaps, adding to the growing mystery of what had really happened during those missing hours. So after that, detectives sat down with Aiden, trying to piece together what had happened the night Kiaya went missing. His story started with an argument. It was over something small, Pokemon cards. The night before, he'd thrown her whole deck at the wall, damaging the cards she loved. At first, Kiaya was upset, but she let it go, saying she'd be okay if she got new ones. But Aiden didn't have money to replace them, so he came up with a different plan. He decided they would go to the Walgreens nearby and steal some. Kiaya was all in. After all, she loved Pokemon cards.
I want to kind of talk to you about what happened tonight. So, can you kind of start from the beginning for me and try not to leave anything out?
Well, I think it would now be the night before last night. I had thrown, Kiaya, she likes Pokemon, so she has like a big deck of like these Pokemon cards, and I had thrown like all of them for some reason, like out the wall and stuff, and it messed them all up. She was upset when it first happened, but after that she wasn't upset at all. She said as long as she got some new cards.
Aiden told the officers that he and Kiaya headed to the Walgreens, but the cards were locked behind glass because of theft. So instead, he filled his jacket with candy and they left the store. He said they planned to try again at another Walgreens, but as they walked, Kiaya asked for water. They went back home, packed a backpack with water, and Aiden shared some of the stolen candy with his brother. It was a quick stop, just 5 minutes before they set off again. But things started sounding strange when Aiden described what happened next. He said they walked along the darkest side of the street to stay out of trouble.
You stayed on this side?
Yeah, at that point, because it was the darkest side that we could stay on.
Okay, and why'd you use the darkest side?
Because we didn't want to get in trouble.
Why would you get in trouble?
I don't know, to be honest. I've gotten in trouble with like truancy stuff and being out too late and stuff like that before.
The sky was overcast, and Aiden sensed that it might rain. He suggested taking cover under some trees. However, Kiaya expressed her desire to return home, believing they could make it back before the storm hit. Aiden didn't agree. He insisted on waiting out the rain under the branches. He kept saying it was going to pour, but Kiaya had other ideas. The detectives pressed Aiden, asking why they didn't go to the Conoco gas station nearby.
And she was saying, like, if it doesn't rain within, like, 5 or 6 minutes, I say we get up and start walking home quick so that, we have a chance to get home before it rains. And then I was thinking it was going to rain a lot, so I was, wanting to sit there and hopefully wait it out.
Were you upset with her when she was wanting to go home instead of trying to wait out the rain?
No. I just thought, I just thought we should maybe wait a little bit longer because I just really thought it was going to start pouring and we were just going to get drenched.
They could have stayed dry inside. Aiden shrugged. He couldn't give a clear answer. Then his story took another odd turn. He said once the rain actually began, they decided to leave the trees after all. They walked out into the very weather they had been avoiding. He claimed Kiaya had been walking behind him, but at some point, when he looked back, she was gone. He didn't know why she stopped or if she got upset with him. She was just gone.
We started walking and I figured she's right behind me. I just saw her get up and start walking this way with me. Then we get over there and I turn behind me and I just...
So why would she not be walking with you anymore? What happened?
I don't know. I don't think I did anything to upset her or make her do that, but I never really know because, I'm sure they've told you how she is. She's a 10-year-old girl. She gets angry over stupid little things.
The officers asked if Kiaya might have slipped into a ditch or fallen somewhere. Aiden said he searched the trail they had been on, then wandered through a nearby neighborhood, calling her name every few seconds. He didn't knock on any doors for help. He was too confused and didn't know what else to do. He said he looked for about 30 to 45 minutes before he decided to head home.
So, I honestly could have done something that made her mad and not even known it.
Were you in an area where she may have slipped and fallen down into a ditch or something like that? Is that how you may have lost her?
Mm-mm. After I got here and realized she wasn't behind me, I immediately went back this way and I went back this way. So then I went back into the trail. Went back through this trail and then went into this neighborhood and just started searching around.
Were you calling out her name?
I did a few times, not straight up yelling it every couple of seconds, but when I got to the beginning of the street, like it looked like a big street with like dark places, or like when I would see like kind of like an open kind of area, I would like just yell.
So when you mean yell, like how were you screaming for her?
It wasn't like super loud, but I was yelling at it to where somebody
could hear it?
Somebody could hear it, yeah.
Did you ever think of maybe just knocking on people's doors to tell them, hey, your little sister is lost?
I was thinking about that, but I had no idea what time it was. At the moment, I was really confused. I didn't know what I was going to do.
As Aiden was making his way back, Jacob, Katie's boyfriend and Kaya's father, pulled up in his car. He was shouting Aiden's name. Aiden rushed over and climbed in, after which Jacob drove him to the house. That's when Aiden started talking to the police. But as the officers listened to his story, things just weren't adding up. There were too many gaps, and the timeline didn't make much sense. It seemed like there was more to the story than Aiden was letting on, and the detectives were determined to get to the truth. After that, the detectives attempted to exert further pressure on Aiden. It was nearly 8 a.m., and Kaya had been missing for over 9 hours. The tension in the room grew as the officers pressed him for more details, hoping he could provide even the smallest clue about where Kaya might be.
Have you ever hit Kaya before?
I've never hit any girl before.
Have you ever been upset with her to the point where you wanted to hit her?
The only time I was upset with her enough to any way express that to her is when I told her, when I called her the name.
What name did you call her?
I called her a pig or something.
They reassured him that he wasn't in trouble. They just needed his help to find her. But Aiden's answers were vague and didn't add up. When they asked him if Kaya had tried to leave or mentioned wanting to get away from everyone, he said no. She never talked about leaving or having any issues with his mom or her dad, Jacob. As far as Aiden knew, everything was fine. But the truth was harder to find than the detectives expected. Even as they went over the events again and again, Aiden's story stayed muddled. As time was running out, the reality began to sink in. Kaya might be in danger or hurt. The officers asked if the two had been car hopping, a term for going through unlocked cars and taking whatever they could find. Aiden's twin brother had suggested this might be why they were out that night, but Aiden denied it, saying that while he and Kaya had done that once, a long time ago, they hadn't been doing it that night. The detectives kept digging, looking for any holes in Aiden's story.
Are we going to be able to find her?
I hope so.
When asked why they brought a backpack, he explained that they filled it with water when they returned home.
Originally, we were first just going to walk straight down this street and just keep going all the way there. But she said she wanted water, so we went home and got the backpack and got a big jug of water and a cup.
How come you didn't take the backpack the first time with water since it was hot?
We just didn't think about it.
However, when the police brought up the fact that Aiden and Kaya were absent from the security footage from the second Walgreens they claimed to have visited, Aiden found himself at a loss for words. And when asked about walking through muddy fields, his shoes were clean. More inconsistencies piled up. The officers then tried a different tactic, asking Aiden how he would hurt someone if he ever wanted to. He said he would fight with his fists, but claimed he hadn't been in many fights lately. He explained that he tried to bottle up his anger, and when it came out, he usually cried alone to calm down. Despite these admissions, Aiden continued to insist he had nothing to do with Kaya's disappearance.
I don't think you guys are hearing what I'm saying. You guys think I'm going out, that I was going out doing illegal stuff, but I told you guys.
Okay, what I want to...
I told Aiden, you guys that...
Let's keep our eyes focused on what the most important thing is right now, okay? The most important thing right now is to find Kaya.
Well, we should be doing that. You guys think I know where she's at or something.
We have all kinds of officers. We have dogs. They are out looking for her.
Well, how? I don't know where she went. If I had any clue, I would have already given it to you by now.
Did you do something to Kiaya?
Why would I do anything to Kiaya?
I just asked you a question. Why would you ask me a question back? Did you do something to Kiaya?
No, I didn't do a single thing to Kiaya.
You ever have homicidal thoughts?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so somebody who told me you've had homicidal thoughts before, are they lying about that?
I've never had a homicidal thought.
How do you feel right now?
I'm pretty angry, to be honest. Well, I'm getting here completely accused of doing something to her or something.
I asked you just the one time if you did something, right? Did I ever ask you, or did Detective Martinez ever ask you if you did something?
For the past whole time we've been talking, you guys have been saying I'm lying about stuff.
Are you worried for Kiaya?
Quite frankly, I'm worried for myself right now. I'm worried for her and myself.
Why are you worried for yourself?
Because I'm in a bad situation. It looks bad as hell. Nobody knows where she is, and everybody thinks I have something to do with it.
Yet, the police weren't convinced. People don't just vanish into thin air. There had to be an explanation, and they believed Aiden knew more than he was saying. At one point, they brought in Aiden's mother, Katie, to see if she could get him to open up. When she entered the room, his demeanor shifted, and he became more emotional. Katie asked if he had done anything wrong, even something small like smoking weed or stealing.
What's going on, Aiden? I'm literally giving him all the clues. And it's frustrating me. He won't stop blaming me.
Our history probably makes it hard for them to believe me. And I'm not saying that to be mean, I'm just being honest. You know? Did you guys do anything you weren't supposed to do? Like smoke some weed or drink or steal something or... I know you were going to steal something, but did you? Did you do anything you weren't supposed to? And she's maybe scared that she's going to get in trouble?
Literally the only thing bad that we were going to do that she literally knew about was getting the Pokemon cards.
If there's something you're leaving out and you're afraid you're going to get in trouble, don't worry about that. You just need to tell somebody.
I don't have anything else.
Okay.
I drew on maps for them. I showed them everything I could think of. Everything. I told them everything. I've been honest with them about everything.
Do you need a hug? Come here. Turn around.
She assured him that if he was worried about getting in trouble, he should still come forward because finding Kiaya was what mattered. Aiden hugged his mother, but he kept repeating that he had already told the police everything he knew. The detectives obtained consent to collect Aiden's clothes for testing, along with fingernail scrapings and buccal swabs. After that, the detectives arranged for Aiden to take a polygraph exam. They were convinced he knew more than he was sharing. No one could have guessed just how much he was keeping to himself. Aiden wasn't happy about staying at the station so long. He felt like the officers weren't listening to him, only accusing him. But the polygraph examiner tried a different approach, promising just to listen.
When he talked to the other guys, they wouldn't listen to him.
Okay.
And all they wanted to do was accuse him and not listen.
Right.
And he just wants to talk to somebody who will actually listen to him rather than just accuse him of things.
All right. Well, Aiden, I am your girl because I am a really good listener, and I'm not here to accuse you of anything. Actually, the CBI is not even really involved in the investigation, and we were just asked to come here today just to do the polygraph.
How many questions do you even want to ask me?
Well, we'll talk about that. There's obviously we're going to have to go through the day and what happened and that kind of stuff, but I promise I'm not going to judge you about it.
Before starting the test, they explained Aiden's rights. Since he was a minor and hadn't been charged with anything, he was free to leave. They made sure his mother understood too. But Aiden had been at the station for hours, since around 3 a.m., and was frustrated. He asked when he could go home, and the examiner explained there was no set time. It all depended on how much he talked. Once Aiden agreed to stay, his mom stepped out so the exam could begin. The examiner began by asking Aiden about his health. When the conversation shifted to his mental health, things took a turn. Aiden admitted he'd struggled with anger and had been in and out of therapy for years. He had been dealing with major depression, emotional issues, and anger management. He said his life had been crazy, filled with stress and endless therapy sessions. Yet he claimed his anger had improved recently, though this wasn't entirely true. Social services records showed he had a history of violent outbursts. The social worker was shocked to learn Aiden had been left unsupervised with a young child like Kiaya.
You know if you've ever been a patient like in a mental hospital?
I've gone to Jefferson Hills before.
Is that a mental hospital?
It's like they do like mental evaluation holds on you. Like you have to do like group therapies or stuff while you're staying there.
Okay. What have they ever told you that you have, or have you been diagnosed with anything?
ADHD, major depression, major emotional disorders, anger.
What kind of stuff has happened that makes you angry when you think about it?
Life has been pretty bad.
Life's been pretty bad?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that.
Just crazy. There's been too much. I've just been having to deal with too much.
Tell me about that.
4 years I've been in constant therapy and constant like therapy and in-home therapy and constantly going to all kinds of different meetings, constantly dealing with all kinds of stress at home, just constantly dealing with stuff. I don't know where to just get a break.
When asked why his anger issues had subsided, Aiden struggled to provide a clear response. He said he just learned to walk away when he got mad. But when it came to taking medication for his issues, Aiden admitted he had stopped several months ago. He also confessed to using alcohol and marijuana recently. He talked about how his mom had once called the police on him for being loud and disrespectful, leading to a stay at a social services facility.
So why did the anger thing stop? What made that better?
I don't know, it just started getting better. I couldn't explain it to anybody. I don't know, I don't freak out like I used to. If I would get angry before, I'd like break stuff, but now if I'll just get angry, I'll walk off and sit by myself.
So you know how to control it now? Good.
The examiner needed to hear Aiden's version of the events surrounding Kiaya's disappearance before they could start the polygraph. Aiden wasn't enthusiastic about retelling the story. He asked if they could skip that part, but the examiner explained it was necessary. They needed to make sure they were asking the right questions during the test. Reluctantly, Aiden reviewed the details once more. It was the same story he had told the detectives multiple times already.
Did we do the test without me having to tell the story?
No, unfortunately we can't, because that's the. I need to make sure that I'm asking the right questions on the test. When I ask you the questions, your body will tell me what the truth is. So, okay, so it's easy. Just sit in here and tell the truth, and it's not a big deal. Okay, and like I said, even if it's different than what you've said before, or maybe there's little details that I remember now. That is totally fine. You do not look like a liar. You just need to tell me what the truth is.
After about an hour, Aiden asked for a break, and the examiner used this opportunity to speak with the other investigators. There had been a major development while Aiden was out of the room. The discovery came from a 911 call made by a man out on a walk with his family. They had stumbled upon Kiaya's body in a ditch. She was face down, and her clothes were disheveled, making it clear she had met a tragic end.
I think my wife and I and our kids just found her.
Okay, are you in contact with her?
No, I unfortunately I think that she's
Okay, hold on 1 second. Where exactly is she at?
she's face down in kind of a ditch area in a bunch of shrubs, and her underwear are taken off, and it looks like her clothes, or a lot of her clothes, are off as well.
Aiden came back from the bathroom, unaware of the news the police had just received. But suddenly, he felt the need to change part of his story. He left the room to find a detective, admitting he hadn't just lost Kiaya. He confessed he had left her behind because she was annoying him.
There's something I think I could just probably tell you before it gets too far out of hand. It's like I realized I probably tell you is like when me and her split up, I didn't lose her. I intentionally left her because she was really annoying me. And I intentionally left her by Conoco because I figured she would be able to.
Okay, just hang on quick, okay?
By now, the detectives had been pushing Aiden for the truth for over 12 hours. They asked him to wait in the room while they figured out their next steps. As the minutes passed, Aiden grew more restless. 15 minutes later, he couldn't take it anymore and asked if he could leave to sleep. Shortly after, the examiner came back, guided Aiden to a separate room, and gently announced the discovery of Kiaya's body.
Aiden, buddy, I need you to look up for me, okay? Be present with me for a minute, okay? Listen, we're not going to do the test today because you and I both know you weren't going to pass, okay? Okay? We just found Kiaya's body.
What?
The investigator tried to get Aiden to explain what had happened, but his emotional reaction made it nearly impossible. The reality of Kiaya's death had finally hit, and Aiden found himself struggling to cope with the gravity of the situation. As the examiner continued talking, she asked Aiden if he felt bad about what had happened. She urged him to share what he knew to help the investigators understand the events leading up to Kiaya's death. However, Aiden's responses appeared disorganized, as though he was still attempting to comprehend everything. The room felt heavy with the weight of the truth that was about to unfold. Aiden's tears kept falling, but the detectives couldn't tell if his grief was real or just a show. They needed answers, and they pressed him to explain what happened. They mentioned he hadn't been on his medication lately, wondering if that had played a role. But Aiden kept saying he hadn't done anything. The detectives then revealed they had surveillance footage showing him and Kiaya walking together, and later footage of him alone. But he was still adamant and kept telling her that he had left her because she was annoying him and wouldn't stop talking about what she wanted.
It's over, okay? And listen, you have had a horrible, horrible time in your life, okay? And I totally respect that you're sitting here today and you're talking to me. But we need to know, Aiden, look at me. We need to know what happened, okay? Because everything has an explanation.
Wait,
Aiden.
Are you guys accusing me?
Aiden.
What's happening then?
Aiden.
You do.
Aiden, listen to me.
What's happening?
Aiden.
Aiden.
This is a question I need to know.
Can you guys
Aiden.
Explain what?
Aiden.
What did you find?
Aiden, stop for a minute, okay? Look at me. This is the biggest question I need to know, okay? This is the biggest question I need to know. Do you feel bad about what happened?
Wait, is she dead? She's dead.
Aiden.
She's dead.
Tell me.
Is she dead?
She's dead.
What?
Aiden.
Ow. What? This isn't what.
Let me help you work through this, okay?
But there was a big problem with his story. The police found Kiaya's body more than a mile from the place he claimed to have left her. Hoping for more clues, the police reviewed surveillance footage from around the area. At Walmart, an outside camera captured Aiden and Kiaya strolling through the parking lot at 8:50 p.m. That was the last time anyone saw her alive. 40 minutes later, cameras caught Aiden walking in the opposite direction alone. Around that same time, neighbors reported hearing a child crying out, a chilling clue that Kiaya had likely met a terrible fate. But even with this new evidence, Aiden stayed quiet.
Please explain to us what happened.
What's happening then?
Aiden, buddy, listen to me. I think, this is what I think. I think maybe there was some, you haven't been on your medication for a while and not feeling yourself.
You think I did something to her?
Aiden, I want to know what happened.
I didn't do anything. I swear.
Can you listen to me? We have surveillance video of you guys walking down the road, okay? We have video of just you walking back. So we know that there was a time you were together, and shortly after there was a time when you weren't with her anymore.
I started telling that guy I left her on purpose. Because she was annoying. She wouldn't stop talking about what she wanted and being annoying and
I know, so that was...
I left on purpose. What is going on?
Look at me though, buddy. Listen, there's no mistake too big to admit that what you did was wrong.
I didn't hurt her. I told you I left her. We started...
Aiden, we have video of you guys together.
Yeah, I left.
Leaving.
I even told that guy that...
Aiden, listen to me.
I left her.
It's not where you said you were at.
I know.
Okay, so that's a problem.
I know.
I want you to explain it for us.
At this point, Aiden's frustration grew. He begged to be left alone and asked for his mom, Katie. Within moments, she was by his side. He told her that the police thought he had killed Kiaya. He reported that he'd left her because she was being annoying, not because he wanted to hurt her. But the tears kept coming, and the more he talked, the more it seemed like he was trying to convince himself as much as his mom. He insisted that Kiaya would find someone to help her and hadn't expected things to end this way. Katie tried to calm Aiden down, but it was clear she was starting to worry about where this was heading. Aiden kept asking what would happen to him if he was getting arrested and what was going to happen next. Katie assured him she didn't know, and his panic grew. Upon their return, the detectives told Katie and Aiden that additional tests, including a sexual assault exam, were necessary.
We've got some more physical testing that we would like to do on Aiden, a sexual assault exam. That is something that, of course, we don't do here. Medical professionals would do that. So,
what is that?
That is where they would get some more DNA from you on different parts of your body.
Aiden seemed stunned and afraid of why they would need such a test. Her blunt response hit him hard. She told him it was to see if he had raped Kiaya.
That's to see if you raped her.
I didn't rape her. What the hell?
Though he agreed to the exam, it took a while to get things set up. Eventually, they took Aiden to the hospital for the examination. Afterward, he was placed in a social services facility at Katie's request, but he wouldn't stay there long. Just 2 days later, the police returned with undeniable evidence. DNA from Kiaya's body matched Aiden's. Even after his arrest for murder, he steadfastly maintained his innocence. There were still many questions left unanswered. Then, a month later, a surprising twist came. One of Aiden's friends, who was being held at the same juvenile detention center, reached out to the authorities. The young boy said Aiden had confessed to killing his stepsister, describing the gruesome details with shocking clarity. Aiden had told him he used a metal pole to beat Kiaya, hitting her again and again. He had even said that he saw her skull and brain. The chilling confession from Aiden's peer filled in the gaps in the story, painting a picture that was darker and more horrifying than anyone could have imagined. The truth had finally come to light, but its weight was more than anyone could bear.
What can you tell us about what you know about Aiden?
He told me that he killed his stepsister and that she was like 10 or 11 years old, and that he said that he had like a metal pole or something. He said it was like that big or something like that, and that he just kept hitting her with it, and that he said he saw her brain, and that he like fractured her skull and all this stuff, and that he just kept beating her.
Where did he say he hit her at?
He said he hit her right here.
Okay.
Right on the side of the head.
The grim details of Kiaya's autopsy confirmed the horrors she endured. Her small body showed multiple skull fractures, abrasions, and bruises that told the story of a brutal attack. The medical examiner noted the torn fingernail as a clear sign that Kiaya fought back, but in the end, she had been beaten to death. This matched the injuries detectives noticed on Aiden, bruises that seemed to line up with Kiaya's desperate attempts to defend herself. The discovery of Aiden's DNA under her fingernails, which demonstrated her intense resistance, was even more damning. The details didn't end there. Evidence from the crime scene pointed to something even darker. Drag marks in the dirt and abrasions on Kiaya's body led investigators to believe that she had moved after the attack. It seemed like Aiden had dragged her near a river.
He dragged her like, I don't know how, he just said he dragged her to the like other side, like by the river or whatever.
The marks in the foliage and scratches on Kiaya's skin told the story of how he tried to hide what he had done. Aiden's peers recounted how Aiden described the scene, saying he saw what he had done and panicked. He ran away, hoping no one had seen him. He claimed he blocked out during the attack, but he could still remember every gruesome detail.
And that's, he said he saw what he did, and then he said he ran off and he took off running to home, and that he was just like scared because he thought nobody saw him, and then he started telling everybody he blacked out. But then he was describing everything about it. He's like, I blacked out, I didn't know what I was doing, but he was describing everything that happened.
Aiden had planned to escape and run away the day after Kiaya disappeared, but when the police arrived at his house that night, his plan crumbled. He had no choice but to stay, trapped in the situation he had created. There were still questions, though, like what weapon Aiden used. He had mentioned a metal pole, which resembled a piece of a fence.
You mentioned that he had a pole. Did he say at all where he got this pole?
No, he didn't tell me where he got it. He just said it was like a fence pole or something like that.
Yet, the police didn't find any poles at the scene. They searched his house and confiscated some hammers, but none matched the injuries on Kiaya's body. Then, in a twist, Kiaya's mother and grandfather decided to search the area near the crime scene themselves. In the grass, they stumbled upon a metal pipe and immediately reported it to the authorities. It was the same pipe that was used to murder Kiaya.
Did he say why he started hitting her?
No,
what made him decide to do that?
I don't know, he just said that he was stressing and that he had a lot on his mind, and then he just let it get to him or something like that.
Okay.
He was just saying that like he didn't like her family and stuff like that. Like he was just saying he didn't like her dad. And like to me, it just seemed like he was jealous, or just like he didn't really like get along with her.
Aiden's peer had also mentioned that Aiden had talked about cleaning blood off his shoes, although the detectives told him they found traces on the laces. The DNA on the shoes and the clothes Aiden wore during his interrogation belonged to Kiaya. Even worse, additional DNA testing revealed that Kiaya had experienced sexual assault. It was a revelation that left everyone reeling, turning the tragedy into something even more unimaginable. But through all the evidence, one question remained. Why? What drove Aiden to attack a young girl so viciously? Maybe it was jealousy, or perhaps just anger that had been simmering for a long time. But only Aiden knew the real reason, and so far, he hadn't given a straight answer. On December 16, 2021, Aiden, then 17, finally faced the consequences of his actions. He pleaded guilty to first-degree murder and received a sentence of 40 years to life in prison. It was a small measure of justice, but it could never make up for the loss of Kiaya's young life. For her family, there was no way to truly heal from such a tragedy. But perhaps knowing that Aiden would never be free again offered them some peace, however small it might be.
Bye-bye. Oh, fuck. Okay, sorry. Bye-bye.